Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
What's up, Doom Nation, and welcome back. You are listening to the Two Doom Men podcast. As always, your hosts, Skaggs and the Captain, and we have a returning friend. He's known as the third Doomed Man, our buddy, the Unfit Statesman, Zach. How you been, buddy?
I've been pretty good. I'm excited to be back, especially now that you got that numbers bump from the libertarian presidential debate. This is what I do. This is what I do to my friends. They get numbers, and I'm like, hey, what happened? We used to do podcasts all the time.
Yeah, that's why he wanted to come on our show instead of this
Yeah.
being his show. Yeah,
you should have never offered. You should have never fucking offered.
Testing the waters first to see how he can maximize this for himself. I get it.
That's right.
I get it. It's all good. You're our most loyal podcast buddy going back to 2020 when you were doing the interviews of all the QAnon fucking retards.
I missed that. That's actually what I'm going to go back to.
I think so. I think you should. That was kind of like your niche.
I think we need a little Q now more than ever.
Yeah, here's the thing. Q needs to be in all societies. There needs to be those people because it provides a level of a balance. It gives you a mark of the real thin line between truth and insanity, because those things are so close together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the line. It's a very, very thin line, and you need a microscope to see it. And those people, almost as if they are some sort of higher power spirits, happen to find themselves on that line and then dip just the toe and then the foot, and then jumped in to the insanity pool. But it's impressive that they found the line at all. You know?
It's interesting. You know what? Here's a good place to start, a question to run by you, because you talk to a lot of these people way back when. I've been starting to think lately a lot, just kind of looking at their behavior in general, and I'm now just convinced that it was a psyop in of itself to take people who are usually pretty innately curious and critical thinkers and then point them in a direction of stupid shit and kind of make them passive where they're like relying on, well, the Patriots are going to take charge and they're going to fix all the problems in the world. And then like you kind of just sit around and interpret the symbols or something like that.
Yeah.
You think there's anything to that?
Yeah. So there's a guy by the name of Cass Sunstein who was in the Obama administration. I forget his official title in the Obama administration, but he wrote a thesis on how to subvert
Oh, we were just talking about this.
Conspiracy communities, anti-government narrative communities, and the way to do it is to subvert the community by infiltrating and allow them to express enough reasonable opinion to where it will draw the naturally curious in, and then gradually fade out into insanity, so those who never got sucked in the first place go, they were always that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very interesting thing. It's almost like a very easy play on the human brain where it becomes hard to find nuances in these things. We compartmentalize things very easily and very quickly. And so, when you see Q and they were talking about how there were politicians raping children, and everybody was like, yeah, whatever. It's like, yeah, well, there were.
Mm-hmm.
There were. Now we know there were. But, was Trump doing secret finger symbols on the podium to signal to Q what to fucking what to release on fucking 8chan or wherever the fuck they were getting this from? No. So it's another balancing act of putting out enough rational thought for people to get sucked in, and then gradually leading them toward a point of insanity. Yeah. It's a very interesting paper.
That's interesting. I got to check that out.
That was what Sean was talking about on Kill the Mockingbird.
Yeah, we were just on.
He mentioned that guy.
Yeah, I also think it ends up becoming a way for, like, I don't know if the Trump camp is or was involved in that at all, but it also becomes a way for there to just be zero accountability in regards to them. Where it's always like there's always an excuse as to like why he didn't do something good the first time.
Yeah.
Why did he pass the CARES Act? Well, because like we needed to do that to expose several people so that later we can arrest them. All right, but like it's like always a built-in excuse, and I'm not trying to be some TDS fucking moron, but I don't know. Can we at least hold you to some sort of standard here and there, and then
it creates a stake in the ground opinion on both sides, right? So if this subversion technique, from an outsider looking in, you go, they're insane and they're not right about anything, including the things that they were right about in the first place, right? So those politicians who are doing horrible things, corrupt things, they can go, good, fine. They don't believe it. They think that's a QAnon theory. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, these people get so deep into it that they go, I can't, this is just what it is now. It's a war. And it also, so it's like a threefold thing. So it creates a stake in the ground, hardline political opinion on both the right and the left. And then it also creates divisiveness and pushes society to bicker about bullshit while they do things that no one could ever dream that they could ever even get done. So it's like a three-pronged strategic psychological tool to advance political corruption.
Yeah, I think it's
fair enough
summed up. Yeah.
And also keep in mind, folks, everything that I say is probably wrong. I'll probably be proven wrong in the long run, but
Q is going to come out in the first person.
You will.
Unfit statesman. Wrong.
Honest to God, he better come on my show. If he fucking, have you heard those theories about who was Q? Didn't they have a documentary about it?
I watched
Skaggs was pretty sure of what, Cash Patel or something.
No. Like if you watch the documentary, I thought they made a pretty compelling case as to who it was. Was that like that guy from
the guy who owned
from Japan?
Damn
it, I forget his name now. It's been a couple of years. They made
my only problem with that documentary is like, I get it. We're going way too into the weeds here, but everything's a lie. So why would the documentary be truthful? Like this is the one thing of truth that they're going to produce. But I digress, because then you're just going into the weeds of, I read the newspaper, it's a lie. I read this book, it's a lie. I played this video game, it's a lie. So
wouldn't it be funny if Q was like a joint collaboration between like Dan Crenshaw and Ian Miles Chong? This is fucking,
I wouldn't be fucking surprised.
I mean, that's about the level of subversion technique they could come up with.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, it is. Ian Miles Chong is actually not that bad at subversion. And whatever, like he's got a gigantic following on Twitter. It's not by accident, and he's just posting like clickbait triggering things all the time. Like his MO is basically like, let me just keep posting videos of like black people assaulting white people, and then frame it in some way that doesn't outright sound racist, but it kind of is racist. So he's kind of like manipulating Americans into some race bait shit. He's a more sensitive Kumia. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Kumia's outright. Kumia's outright. Like Kumia posted the other day when the Grand Theft Auto trailer came out. He posted the photo of the black people on the beach in Grand Theft Auto, and he was like, "This is the first place I'm going and running everybody."
I can't wait to drive 100 miles an hour
through this beach. Yeah, and then he's just going to return the game right after that.
I used to take the little dune buggy across the beach and just mow everyone down.
Yeah, but we did so in like we didn't do so in a prejudiced way. Like we killed everyone in Grand Theft Auto equally.
Yeah, we were colorblind when we were jumping the curb. Yeah,
the kid that leaked the shit from GTA 6 was hospitalized.
Was he really? Why?
I don't know. I saw a headline.
He met Trevor and just Steve Ogg just beat the shit out of him.
Fucking Havana syndrome him or something? Like death row?
I don't know. I don't know if it's hospitalized for a physical problem or a mental problem. It just said hospitalized.
Interesting.
That's all it said.
I don't know. Maybe he had like a Heath Ledger thing, like working on that game for all these years, and he'd end up becoming a psycho.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure some people... The depth of this game, I'm sure some people mentally broke making it.
Developers.
Yeah. So Zach, they definitely started installing nets underneath the windows.
Yeah. Back in the day. Or like in China, like they do at Foxconn.
Yeah, in China. Yeah.
The Foxconn plant or whatever. So Zach, you took a break for a little bit, man. What was going on? I know you took like a little hiatus from podcasting. Now you're back, like you kind of restarted the clock.
Yeah, what have you been doing, man?
Your episodes, and you started from like one again.
I just wanted to restructure the show. I just didn't want to ramble audio only and not have any notes ever, and just literally an hour before think about, I could talk about this, I could talk about this. And I feel like it would constantly go off the rails into just nonsense, which is fine, but
kind of your brand.
yeah, and it's good, but like a show has to like if you're doing the same thing every time. I mean, and I get that you have to keep on brand. I get that theory, but if everything is the same all the time, where at minute 25 he's gonna start, you know what I mean? It's so I wanted to structure it a little bit better and then bring in the visuals, and I wanted to do a little bit more on social media, like clips, and I just wanted to, because I was never good at that. I hate social media. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll go on a string of like 4-5 tweets in like less than 5 minutes, but then I'm done. So I just wanted to be more consistent in like the social media thing, the visuals, and create a little bit more structure was all.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like recently took a hiatus. Like I know like Reed Coverdale took a bit of a hiatus.
Well, he's done. I mean, like
he's done. Like done.
Yeah, he's done.
It could wear you out, man. After a while too.
Fatigue. The topic we talk about politics. We laugh because you have a young child and we watch Miss Rachel make $4 million on fucking YouTube, and we're like, Jesus, if we just talked about anything other than politics, we'd probably be making money by now. It is a taxing topic to cover week in and week out, especially with just how crazy it's gotten.
Yeah, and the thing is, I do cover politics, but it's more you just veer into insanity. So it starts with politics, and then it just
politics is just insanity at this point. Yeah,
they're inextricably linked. Yeah,
that's true. What was I expecting to like? I veer into talking about like. I remember like one of the comments was specifically toward a comment I had made about throwing car batteries over an overpass, and they were like, somebody said like, why didn't you continue talking about whatever? Why did you have to go into that? And I was like, first of all, I was like, fuck you, bitch. You go, and then I was like,
have you ever thrown car batteries over an overpass?
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
So, but it was like, I wished it could be a little bit more structured, because when it's only absurdity, then the absurdity becomes not so absurd, and it doesn't have the same value and whatever.
Fair. Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's a good point. I like to take our episodes with you and kind of just leave them to be absurd and kind of go in with almost no plan and just see what happens, because that's kind of like your nature. But otherwise, on like a weekly basis, me and Cap usually do tend to try and have a plan. Like, what's going on this week?
What notes, what topics,
something like that.
Who's talking about what?
Yeah, but you got to go off topic too and do like our stupid shit. Like
I still that's the problem. So even with structure, I'm gonna I just need a leash is all. I need like give me 30 feet, but then 30 feet hits, bring it back in,
a guiding force or a concept.
Yeah, because then if you let me go out 55, 80 feet, I'm gonna get hit with a riptide. I'm gone. It's over. So there has to be some structure. Some people they can't, like if they're too structured and it sounds like they're fucking reading off a script. I am whatever the opposite of that is, and that's not good either. So
yeah,
you're reading off a script in your brain. Like your brain is just off script. That's the script that you're reading.
Honest to God, it's like you know how you can tell Biden's reading a teleprompter and he goes, what?
Yeah,
like that's literally what I do in my brain sometimes, where I'm like,
yeah,
it's
or he
like
always he scratches his nose all the time like this, like he's trying to buy himself a second to think about it. Yeah,
dude, he is
dying,
and I'm becoming more and more sympathetic toward him, because it's becoming quite clear they're pumping him full of amphetamines, and I'm not sympathetic for who he was throughout his lifetime, because I know who he was throughout his lifetime, and he was not a good person, a very corrupt person, but in the state that he's in now, where if you asked him about, your segregationist policies back in the, why did, like, what was the big change? Why did you feel that, black people were subhuman back then? And if he were to try to answer, you would go, shit, he's not even like the brain that
he doesn't even remember it.
Thought that is rotted.
Yeah. I said this early on after he got elected and sworn in, not as, like you put it pretty well, not as the person who he's been through his whole life, but as just a elderly person, this has got to be like open air prison torture type of shit. It's not that he doesn't deserve it, because everything he's gotten away with, he's indebted to, the shadows that have allowed him to live this lifestyle. But as an older gentleman who is declining, this is like torture to watch. They are just drugging him up and throwing his ass out there. You wouldn't want your grandma or grandpa to be treated like this, but he also deserves this.
He doesn't, yeah, like, I don't think he's ever done a podcast or like some long form conversation.
He could.
It would take some brain power to like stay in it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
He's only done like these corporate press interviews where they're definitely like cutting things and taking a break every like 35 seconds.
Well, remember the debate against Trump when he just came out there? He must have did that day. Yeah, like a kilo of Colombian Bam Bam powder, and he was just out there swinging for the fences.
He always was a pretty good debater too, like throughout his whole life. So they definitely gave him some shit that then like like really got him going. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember I used to be good at this." And he just hit his groove. Yeah,
he was kind of he had Trump style like debate tactics back like in the 80s. He was a shit talker.
Yeah,
because like he
it wasn't uncommon for him to be like, "I'll meet you in the parking lot."
Right, he still does that to this day. But so like
he literally, he was a shit talker. That's what he was, and he wasn't that bright. He would lie. He was like, I was top of my class. He wasn't.
You were 27 out of 28.
Yeah, he just, and so it's like, the idea that here, and here's a weird thing, and we don't know this because of his diminishment of intelligence and memory and whatever's happening up there. The demeanor of Trump and Biden when they're both lucid and clear, it's very similar. It's very me-centric. It's very lack of empathy. It's very open lies that
they're two steamrollers.
And the idea of them and their political message was something that veered toward populism a little bit. It appealed to them. They were being lied to, but it appealed to the people who were voting based on populist ideology. So they were very similar. So it's ironic that we get a guy who is very similar to Trump in the office, who is now so fucking dead-brained that you would never know that these two people are they're cut from the same cloth.
They don't even. He doesn't even look the same anymore. I know when people get old, they look a little bit different, but I mean, it does look like. I know this could be. We could go down.
We could talk about clones and
but I'm sure he's had like a facelift or a fucking nose job or something like that.
There's also body doubles. I mean, Saddam had them. Osama bin Laden had them. Trump has to have them. Hillary. They've spotted the Hillary body double tons of times because she'll walk next to. One day she'll be walking next to Bill and like her head will be like level with like his ears, and then like the next day like she'll be shorter than his shoulders.
Even Hunter Biden, he gave that speech in front of the Capitol the other day, and I'm like that like doesn't look like him. No. I don't know if it wasn't him or maybe like I'm just so used to the photos of him doing crack and like strangling hookers. When
this is what he looks like sober.
I know, like I haven't seen him in a while, so now he's like actually just gotten older, and I'm like more used to just like him in like a younger, more strapped Hunter Biden strangling a hooker, and that's like the mental image of him I have in my mind. But he looks old now. Like he's got white hair. Either that or maybe the stress of this whole thing has really gotten to him. It's really sucked him dry. He's gonna be like his dad, just a fucking a walking corpse in a couple of years.
Didn't he just get indicted or something? It just happened recently. We didn't even cover it because nobody else is going to cover it. But yeah, he's the hinge that's holding that family together, and he's going down like a rock. So he's got to be pretty stressful.
There were leaks of emails between Biden and Hunter Biden's business partner. I think it came out today.
A lot's been coming out about him.
Yeah. And I think it was maybe Devin Archer. I forget.
Oh, that was Mr. Q level clearance.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know if it was Devin Archer for sure, but one of Hunter Biden's, it basically corroborated the idea that Joe Biden was involved in Hunter Biden's dealings with Burisma in the Ukraine. That's basically what the email said. They said he wasn't communicating directly to Hunter, but he was dealing with his business partners and creating a level of separation between his son. And, it's the whole thing is so blatant that it's become, it's like hiding in plain sight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you throw on top of it 2 wars and the fact that Donald Trump gets pulled off the Colorado ballot. Who's going to fucking, nobody's giving a shit.
It's all, look, we were, earlier this year, so many episodes ago, you could almost line up with something bad comes out about Hunter or Joe. Trump gets indicted. Something bad comes. Remember, Skaggs, we covered this.
Or UFOs.
Dude.
One of those 2 things.
Yeah, just something big would come out, and then boom, a new story to just cover it up. Yeah.
Yeah, the timing was always impeccable. I
Yeah.
do think this Trump thing just happened of him being taken off the ballot in Colorado.
No, it's timed for a reason.
We've all been kind of wondering, probably, I'm sure you have too, Zach, like everyone's kind of skeptical about 2024's election. Like, how is this going to actually happen?
It's a black pill.
Are they going to do something? Like, I'm sure everyone's in the back of their mind, like, they're going to do something, right? Let's try something. So, like, then this happens. I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is the thing. Maybe they're going to try and maybe this is how they do the thing that we're all thinking they're going to try and do. And they'll just remove him off the ballot on each state, like, over a period of a couple months, like, little by little. But I was watching Viva Frey's breakdown of this, and he was basically explaining, like, there's no chance that this is going to stick whatsoever.
Yeah.
And how, like, they even knew that, and they kind of wrote that in their whatever it is, like their thoughts on the case. And that made me think just to kind of the thing we've talked about a couple times, like the poke the bear strategy, where you just like do like because everyone, of course, like every right wing goes like, if this was the other side around and whatever, and making their their points that everyone knows they're going to make, and you just keep like poking people, especially like these really diehard Trump cultists,
and then
eventually like someone might snap. Someone might do something that they've been laying the groundwork for years. Somebody might commit some sort of act of domestic terrorism, right? They're like, you see, we've been telling you for 3 years or whatever it's been.
And, the idea of this concept of predictive programming, now that like the Civil War movies coming out, we've had all these problems and Trump is being taken off the ballots. Like, I've been learning more about the predictive programming. And I'm like, this is almost lining up like way, way too well. If you get what I'm saying, like, and then you add in this poke the bear strategy, you're going to silence millions of Republicans. Someone is bound to do something. And then they have their reasons.
Well, it's interesting. So you mentioned that this is all, it seems like things are lining up. If you remember, Colonel Douglas McGregor
Patrick
I forget
David's show.
Yeah, he said that we're not even going to get
to
the 2024 election. So I mean,
when that guy talks too, I tend to like take him somewhat seriously. Like, he knows kind of what he's talking about.
He's been right about fucking every goddamn war in the past 2 decades. I mean, it's somebody who has credibility.
Yeah,
and so the idea, like it was funny. Something came across my timeline, and it was a video of Netanyahu testifying to Congress in 2002, where he said that there's no doubt Iraq and the Middle East in general will be more stable if we take Saddam out. There's no doubt that Saddam is harboring weapons of mass destruction, and there's no doubt that it will improve relations between Iran, Israel, and America by taking Saddam out.
This was McGregor was saying this?
NG.
No.
Okay,
Netanyahu.
sorry. Netanyahu. Okay. Yep.
He was testifying to Congress, I think, in 2002. I mean, you want to talk about the not only being 0 for 3. It's one thing to go 0 for 3, but it's 0 for 3, and each at bat you struck out on 3 fucking pitches.
Yeah. Or let's say like you lost 70-0 in 3 back-to-back weeks, like something like that.
Yeah, that's nuts, dude. I mean, it's insane, and it's never coming through in American media. But Netanyahu is not liked in Israel.
He's
No.
not, but it doesn't translate through to American media, like you're saying. Like we kind of just did a whole
Well,
episode about this. But if
it
you
does-
and like like some of the independent people like ourselves, and our 15 people who watch the show, they might know that now. But like, yeah, even if you watch, obviously if you watch Fox, you're not going to get this. But even if you watch like at this point, like Tim Pool's show, like he's not like digging into anything like that. But what I have heard, like you're saying, if you go over to Israel, like. Yes, there is a rally to the flag effect right now where everybody's like, fuck Hamas, we're going to go over there and kill them all. But at the same time, like, they're not happy with Netanyahu, and they are, discussing and writing articles. Like, a lot of the articles we've pulled up are actually Israeli articles where they're writing about this shit themselves. And you're wise in America if you take one of those and use it as your evidence. Because you're like, look, they're writing about this shit over there. I'm not making this up.
Funny, I had mentioned to somebody, I was like, like Netanyahu like supported Hamas to keep Palestine divided, and they were just like, "What?"
Right.
I'm like, yeah, just if you just stop listening to MSNBC for 5 seconds, you'll learn a thing or two.
Yeah, what are you gonna say before
Zach? You taking a little Zimbabwe down there?
Yeah, Zindogger. Yeah.
How are they? Because I've had so many mixed reviews. They're so wildly popular. I want to try it, but they told me like getting used to the nicotine will damn near like kill you. Like your first go around, you'll throw up. And shit
do you do anything now? Are you vaping or anything?
I smoke a lot of weed, and I get these little Miley vapes, and they have nicotine in them. They're like 2,500 pulls, but that'll last me like 3 weeks, a month more.
Yeah. So, well, here's the thing: if you can stop the vape and not do any nicotine, it's probably the best. If you are already addicted to the vape, then switch
to the Zyn.
Yeah, because dude, it's not the nicotine that's fucking you up; it's the shit that's going into your lungs.
Yeah,
it's so fucking bad for you. It's so bad.
Yeah, I don't think I'm addicted to nicotine. I think I'm just addicted to fidgeting and producing smoke, and I can't be high all day.
Yeah, like the nicotine is just like an addictive chemical that
if you do fidget and you have that thing, then and you're gonna do anything. If you're gonna do something anyway, then do it.
Yeah,
it's the best delivery mechanism of nicotine.
Because like Tucker always talks about like how he's on and he's focused and. Like,
okay. First, let's clear that up. It's not fucking Adderall. He treats. I
don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I need to get this opinion.
No, it's insane. He's like, it's from the heavens, and I get down there and I type. It's like, no, it's a stimulant, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yes, but it's not going to provide you any extra fucking clarity or intelligence. It's satiating a need in the healthiest way possible. And they have said that it's not nicotine, but the chemicals or the whatever the molecular makeup of nicotine, some of those molecules build something in the brain that helps protect against like Alzheimer's and things like that.
So
it's not.
So Biden's got to start fucking popping these things.
Start taking some upper deckers.
Yeah. It's Huberman talks about it on one of his fucking
yeah.
So it's if you don't have to take it, I would probably say don't.
That's what people, they're like, if you're not a big smoker, if you're not ingesting nicotine constantly, they're like, just don't do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I don't see a lot of these things are packaged or marketed as like, this is a less destructive alternative to whatever it is you're addicted as. But then at the same time, they do kind of market them as like, you should do these too, like all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea, like you're saying, like if you don't have one of those addictions, to not like pick up one of these things that are these less destructive things, like vaping, for example. Like if you're not smoking cigarettes, why would you pick up vaping? I'm not saying like you're out drinking and like someone gives you a hit of a vape, you take it, whatever, that's fine. But now like don't pick that up as a bad habit. Like it's just not good for you because it's a less bad option to cigarettes. It's not good.
Yeah, no, it's the least harmful form of intaking nicotine because it has no tobacco. Because nicotine itself is not a cancerous thing. It's not a carcinogen. It's just addictive. But it's like I don't know what's in there. It's like nicotine and salt. And so, yeah, if you don't have to, don't. But if you do have to, you better fucking do it. That's what I would say.
Do they make like THC pouch like Zins? Because that would be
that's
fucking
a very good
awesome.
question. I don't know. I don't smoke weed really at all, but I have. And when I do, I order. There's a thing online that you can order. You two are in Connecticut and New York, so you should be able legally to order it.
Well, we're both in Connecticut now, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so it's a thing called Can. They don't sponsor me. Nobody does anymore. I used to have them, and then they left. 3 wallet companies. 3 wallet companies, gentlemen. They came to me and they left me after the first fucking ad that I did.
As you say, they're making these wallets out of human skin or something.
Yeah, shit. I don't know. It's like they fucking contact me. They're like, "We like your stuff. How about you push it?" And I was like, "Okay." And then I did one ad for each of them. Actually, that's not true. One of them I did 3, and they dumped me because I didn't want to read from.
The prepared statement that they gave you, like it's a fucking Hamas
I did actually
video.
Here's the thing. I did read it. I just added. Right. Okay. I took some creative liberties.
Yeah.
But there's a thing called CINN, and it's a I have a very low tolerance for weed. It's 2 milligrams per can, 4 milligrams of CBD, 2 milligrams of THC. And then they have tall boys, 5 milligrams THC and whatever for CBD. And if you're somebody like me who takes like 2 or 3 hits of a joint or a blunt and you get fucking paranoid, this is a nice way to have not a paranoid experience on weed. And you don't have to take anything into your lungs, and it's fucking, it's better.
Oh, the can is okay. The can drinks. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a very nice experience. It's a very
I drank one of those once and nothing happened to me. My tolerance is too high.
Yeah, then it's for people like me. It's not for people, then you got to go get edibles and sit and I fucking, dude, I drink 1 can and have 2 milligrams of THC and then watch Fox News and go, what, they're doing what in the Middle East? Whoa. What? I'd never do anything like that.
The last thing I would do high is watch Fox.
I have before. It's like it's interesting. You know how like when you're stoned, you kind of like see things a little bit more clearly as they
new perspective.
It's
I would say clearly. I would say differently.
Differently. I don't know. I think you could kind of see through people. It depends on each person, of course, right? Everybody has a different reaction to any psychedelic anything. But I tend to see through people a little bit more. But then go and watch something like that, which is just like beaming fucking propaganda into your brain while you're watching it. It's like, oh my god, this is so obvious. I watched Scott Horton on Timcast a couple of weeks ago when I was stoned.
Holy shit, dude!
But that was interesting being stoned.
Your brain must have hurt.
Yeah, it was. I was captivated the whole time. But then again, like I was like, this guy is pretty. Like he cares about this is the vibe I got from him, going on and on about it for 2 or 3 hours, whatever the fuck it was. It was interesting. It was an interesting experience for myself. I've spoken to him in person and met him. And
it's, what, this trend of Tim Pool, the separation of the positive opinion of Tim Pool by libertarians, the gradual separation from him, I think was cemented by that interview.
I think so.
His recent one?
Was a couple of weeks ago.
There were 2. There was one with just Tim Pool and him, and then the staff, and then there was another one where, somebody debated him
on the culture
and
war.
He murdered both.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Murdered
Scott Horton.
Yeah.
I thought that his appearance on
Hall,
Timcast was like one of the best performances, if you could call it that, he's ever given. The regular nightly show. It kind of did sour my opinion on Tim Pool lately a little bit. Yeah,
he's definitely changed. He's one of the few guys I listen to more than I do others, and I could even tell from when I first came across him, however many years ago, to today. There's a different tone. I think but I think like that tone. Isn't like
it is? You know what it is, Chris? It's a slippage of sometimes when you're fighting the battle against woke, you slip into only being anti-woke.
Yes, that's pretty much what I was going to get to. He's been attacked and swatted and had to move, and he's trying to come up with creative ways to create new culture and stuff, to the point now that like it's a one-sided battle for him, because anything else is literally at this point like a threat on his life almost.
Yeah,
right.
I think he's maybe. I hate to even frame it like I did before, as like I've soured on him. Like, he's still Tim Pool. I still like him, but he's maybe become a little bit.
I hate you, Tim Pool. I'm gonna find you.
I have to. Hey, just like you want to come on our show here to promote yourself, we got to protect it just in case you ever decide
No, listen,
have
Tim,
any of us on there. So
if you're fucking, you can come on my show. You can be as pro-Israel as you want. I don't give a fuck about politics. I just want numbers because I want a fucking tension. Okay, take your beanie off on my show and make the reveal.
You got to feed the beast. Yeah, I wonder what his closet looks like. It's just
beanies and BC
and the
sneakers,
same black shirt and gray.
Just little fucking Palestinian children he kidnapped.
I do think that's kind of what happens though naturally, and you kind of become like you can't stop and smell the roses every once in a while, perhaps. Where you kind of like
I did like it literally happens to everybody all the time. Like you'll be scrolling through Twitter and you'll see one of those TikToks where they're like, actually, and I was in the cafe and I was misgendered, and you're like, oh, I fucking hate liberals. And then you feel like in that moment,
burn it down.
Yeah. And then you see, maybe 5 minutes later, you go on and you see like Dan Crenshaw talking, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm not that either. It's like it's just like in the moment reactions, and when you have too many of the in the moment reactions compound, it creates like not even your true opinion. It's just like a facade of what you're fighting against.
You literally, like if you hit somebody in the knee with a little hammer and they're fucking
knee jerk reaction.
Go ahead.
I feel that because like sometimes like with all the clips that like you make, Skags, and stuff, and it's a lot of times it's these politicians just, like when Eric Adams was like, you could be here for 9/11 or you could be here for a BLM march or whatever.
Which he's not wrong, by the way. That is true.
Yeah, it was a good point. Yeah.
He was not wrong in what he said, but boy, it was bizarre. But like we're in such not what's like a different word for like echo chamber. We're in such an environment.
Hamster wheel.
Yeah, we're in such a weird like environment that like I pick up on hypocrisy and propaganda a little bit earlier than like your normie would. And like I almost sometimes like can't finish like the 2-minute clip because I'm like, it's just bullshit coming out of this guy's mouth. It's just all bullshit.
Yeah. I'm not making those clips that I make now though for you. Like
obviously not.
I'm trying to be subversive where like I take the person's words and then I make a clip of it, like highlighting what's important, but not injecting my own opinion into the thing. And then I allow people to make their own kind of conclusion from that. And like the conclusion can be very obvious to make, but like expose that for people in a way.
But to piggyback on what Zach was saying, like it's just hard to hear these people.
Sure. I think when I think about like Tim Pool lately, or whatever, and like it's taken into context the war in Palestine and Israel. It's really easy to be like, yeah, man is not a woman. Like that's like, let's all be real. Like that's easy. Like, you know what I mean? And now that's that's almost a very comfortable position to take now, or maybe it wasn't for some reason before. But like, let me see you have a really hard, nuanced take on a war with 100 years of fucking brutal, murderous history on each side, and have a principled take on that. If you can't, because you're somehow tying that back to the man as a whole woman thing, I don't know, like my opinion of you gets dinged a bit.
Well, again, these are the same subversion techniques that the government uses against people who go against mainstream media propaganda. It's the idea of tying, there are people who are anti-Israel who are the same people who think that there are 500 genders. It's like,
yes. Okay,
but we need to parcel that out.
Right.
Yes, I understand how it's easy to compartmentalize those people as insane, because they believe that there are 500 genders and, you should never eat meat and breathing makes CO2 emissions. Yes, I get that. They're insane. But this one thing where they're protesting Palestine against a majority pro-Israel country, media, government,
is interesting.
maybe they're not even doing it for the right reasons.
I was gonna say they're right for the wrong reasons, right?
But maybe we take what they're saying and apply it to rational thinking and see if it just comes out decently
a little bit better,
rational,
right?
And so it's the same technique. It's tying negatives, the group of negatives that a population has to the group of positives, and then pushing the positives out toward the negatives and saying it's all negative. It's the same technique, and both sides do it. And Shapiro does it the most, because he's a cunt, and he doesn't really have, he promotes himself as somebody who really has very deep, nuanced opinions. He really doesn't. He's very articulate. Mm-hmm. He's very matter of fact. He speaks.
He's smart, clearly. But
here's the thing. Here's what Shapiro is good at. He's good at his show, and he's good at debates with people who he knows it's a control group.
Yeah. He gets those crazy 500 gender people all in a room, and he knows he could just destroy them.
A lot of libertarians have made that point lately, and I'm not going to say that he's not smart, but
he beat me in debate. I'd fucking
I'm sure he'd kill all of us.
Beat all three of us at the same time.
Let's see.
But he wouldn't me though. I'd say, hey, you Jew, anti-Semitism, and I'd go, you can't beat me. I'm not fearful of an anti-Semitism label.
Like think of it now. Like a lot of people made the point. Why don't you debate someone who's not a college student, Scott Horton? Mm-hmm. Like I'd
called him out on Tim Pool's.
Love to see that, right? And just because it's fucking entertaining, but then it's also like, let me see someone who made his bones doing this go up against someone who's not a retard leftist college student, someone who's like well versed in this world and has a different opinion than you. But like, I feel like we'll probably never get that happening. I appreciate Will Chamberlain because he has been doing that, but he's not as he's not
Will Chamberlain, the basketball player.
No. He's another political commentator.
Okay,
he's gone up against like Dave Smith and Scott Horton, and like interesting debates. But he's he's still not Ben Shapiro though,
Right.
Yeah, no, he's not. Did you guys see the fucking Dave Smith, Laura Loomer?
That was fucking fantastic.
I heard about it, but no.
Holy fuck! What a poor PR decision Laura Loomer made.
She? She's with DeSantis, right?
No. She's
she's
zombie
Trump.
Face.
Yeah. That's
Frankenstein.
Laura Loomer is like Trump's biggest fan.
Yes,
that exists. She's not like officially.
She looks like she got stung by a bee and she's allergic. She's puffy everywhere.
Yeah. She's
not fat, but her face looks like she's supposed to be fat.
There's been some work there, definitely.
There's been some work. A lot of silicone. A lot of fucking, I think if you fucking pricked her face with a pin, she'd deflate.
Maybe. I find her interesting. She's one of those people who was like banned forever because she said controversial things in 2016 or whatever. They were just banning everybody for. Now she's back. She's actually friends with Alan, our buddy Alan. But when it comes to I find people like her fascinating because they're like portraying themselves as the biggest MAGA America First person, but then here comes like kryptonite, right? Like here comes Israel. It's kryptonite in that whole concept, and then you hear them talk about it. It's like whoa. For years you've been telling me like America First this, America First that. But now this new scenario Israel comes along and like, so you weren't America First, or you're somehow spinning this to be America First. Like literally another country being first is America First somehow. And then that's what Dave was brilliant at. He didn't even have to say anything like that, but kind of just like exposing that in a kind, charismatic way. Yeah,
there's a video of Nixon, sort of.
Yes, I saw this. Yeah,
it was he wasn't avidly like anti-Israel or pro-Palestine or anything, but it was basically him saying we need to base these situations on merit when it comes to Israel. We can't be a blind pro-Israel conduit. And it, obviously it's surprising for people who don't know. Nixon has a lot of nuance. I've been learning a lot about Nixon lately.
Oh, so most popular president ever, all this shit. He was an outsider, man. That's why they got rid of him.
It's very, so I always knew him as like a corrupt Republican, nothing more than
the picture they painted.
Yeah. And so I think the more that you learn about Nixon, the more you realize he was closer to something.
Trump.
He's closer actually to. I mean, he's not close to like Thomas Massey or Ron Paul. Obviously, he's not that caliber of intelligent or foresightedness, but he's not an establishment Republican.
No,
he wasn't, and so he's a very interesting guy. And I saw that video, and it shocked me. And I think it would shock, like, how Roger Stone is like this huge Nixon guy. He got like the peace. But Roger Stone is like avidly pretty, even though he's Trump and he is veering toward populism because it's popular right now. He was an establishment Republican for fucking 30 years. And so the idea that he's like, I love Nixon, it's like, I don't know if you would have. Like, I don't know if you knew his full scope of political ideology.
Sure, he did.
Yeah, well, that's true.
They're close in it. Yeah,
I'm sure Nixon hid a lot of that shit.
Well, what I was going to say is keep in mind the time that was in.
Yeah,
where, like, you now have this double-edged sword of social media and the internet where you could like easily expose the reality behind anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could literally sit here and do a whole episode on how Benjamin Netanyahu fucking funds Hamas or whatever. But back in that time, you could much more easily curate and craft a narrative and then like maintain that to the point where most people don't even know. Perhaps
I think Nixon was a bisexual.
Okay, all right. Well, there's that.
I think that Nixon was bisexual.
You would know.
I'm saying is I've been thinking about this too. Like maybe Nixon wasn't such a bad guy, and they just painted him out to be because he did something they didn't like or whatever.
Well, he was a sinner. He's bisexual, but I think he was bisexual because him and Roger Stone were, and I think, it's just a thought. It's just a thought. Okay.
Intrusive thoughts of.
Man, we're going after Laura Loomer now. Roger Stone. Alan is not going to be happy with us. Yeah.
Who's Alan? Is that the cigar guy?
Yeah, the right wing cigar king. Yeah, he's our.
I would love to have him on, not even to talk politics. I just want to talk cigars. I've been getting into cigars, and I want.
They're good.
Yeah, listen,
they're good.
I've got like 8 of them in my bedroom. It's like
what do you do? Sit on them?
No, I light them first though. I want to feel some pain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been smoking? Connecticut's or dark wraps, Robusto?
I just know brands like
okay, so what brand?
Monte Cristo.
Monte Cristo, yeah.
Monte Cristo. Yeah. There's a Dominican one. There's 2 names. It's like something in Dominica or something. Dominica and something.
Dominica, like that little tiny island, because Dominican Republic and Dominica are like 2 different places.
Yeah, is there something Julia?
Oh, Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo, yeah, that's that one, and
3 of my favorites that you could look into.
Oliva, Oliva.
Oh yeah, we did a review.
Oliva. Oh yeah, that was our highest.
That's our
review
highest
ever.
Our highest review ever was the Oliva.
Yeah, those are the 3 brands that I have.
Well, check out. I like Camacho. That's always been a good brand. Macanudo, you can't.
I have another. That's another one. Yeah.
Yep. And then the little tiny nubs.
Check out Alan's cigars too, the Patriot Cigar Co. I'll be honest with you, I'm not just saying it because he's our friend and all that shit, but it actually is good. Like I really enjoy them.
Yeah, shout out Alan. I was kind of falling off of cigars. I smoked cigars for years, and I don't have patience to sit around and smoke something for 30, 40 minutes and just my attention span's short. End of story. And then when Alan started this company and we started trying some, I was like, these are good quality cigars, to the point where I was sitting around like, I could go for a cigar right now.
Break Chris out of his ADD. Chris has such bad ADD, can't even finish a fucking cigar.
No, I can't.
But you actually like therapy yourself out of it by smoking good cigars again. That'd be interesting. That'd be a whole fucking case study. Or
I do experience that a little bit. So oddly enough, what works really well for me, and I'm never going to get them again, or not for a long time. So my girlfriend's mother, she brought back cigarillos, organic cigarillos from Aruba. And those were very good, and they're smaller, they're thinner.
They're like the size of a cigarette. Yeah,
it's they're great.
Dude, I had those. I was in Italy in 2016 or so, I was on this island called Ponza. It's like a fishing island, and I was out like on the marina sunset having one of those. It was awesome.
They're
like
so
that,
good.
I'll always have that memory, like this tasty cigar on this beautiful like Mediterranean island. It was a good time, dude. You should I would love to see you on with Alan. He's with James now. Him and James from the People Radio. They do a show together.
Oh yeah,
I would love to see the three of you guys.
I haven't talked to him
chopping
in
up.
a long time. He was one of my very early guests.
Yeah, he's awesome. He would definitely have you on, and that would be fun. That would be entertaining. I'd watch the shit out of that one. Yeah, that'd be a good time. So I'll mention it to him. Have you guys on? That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'd love to talk.
Yeah. So I got actually found,
and then I'll bring up fracking, and then they're gonna go, huh? And I'm gonna go, I love fracking. I don't mind if it spills a little bit into a natural water supply. Fuck them.
Yeah, drill to the core, baby.
Drill, baby, drill. They probably wouldn't mind that. Cap, I actually brought up here. I found the Civil War map from the movie.
That's what I sent you guys.
Yeah, did you? I was bringing this up before. Did you see this trailer for this movie, Zach?
I didn't see the trailer, but I saw the picture. I've seen this.
Yeah, I don't know. Like again, I could maybe see this being
the pussy tri-state area just lines up with DC.
I don't know if this is how it would break out like in real life. I don't know. Like I don't know if there'd be four.
Here's an unpopular take on this. A lot of people assume that the Florida Alliance would probably win if there was a civil war between these regions. I think the Western forces.
I was just going to say they have the nukes.
Yeah.
There, right.
Well, no, but also the Western forces have all the food.
The food and dude, do you know how vast that is?
Where are you from?
I'm
North
from there.
Dakota?
I'm from South Dakota.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it would be for people from any of these fucking regions to just find them?
Yeah. You'd be able to go out there and
goddamn
disappear.
hard.
Again, plus the nukes, right? Like they have the nukes up there in Montana and whatnot.
I don't know though. If this was the way it broke out, I would head south. I mean, I know Skaggs and I are impartial to New Hampshire, but I don't think that's gonna. I don't think they're gonna be able to do much if it broke out in this manner.
Yeah, this. I don't know. Like this is. I didn't even think about that. This is kind of like low IQ. Like if you wanted to actually like style this off of.
It's a movie.
I know. Let me make my point. If you wanted to kind of somewhat style this off of real life, like there's no fucking way New Hampshire is going to end up in the Loyalist states. Like if you know anything about New Hampshire, which then leads me to believe like whoever made this movie like doesn't know that much about real fucking life.
Hold on. No, let me defend A24.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Of course, New Hampshire isn't going to end up acquiescing to the political ideology of the Loyalist states. But what are they going to do?
Right, they could get taken over.
They're going to be taken over. They're going to be jailed. They're going to be taken into as political prisoner. They're not going to be able to do anything. That's there's a geographical context to this too.
Yeah, and also somebody was saying it might have been on Tim Pool. They were talking about like if civil war breaks out, like state lines now mean nothing just because like the Oklahoma Panhandle has a panhandle. No, that doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, how is Oklahoma going to defend their panhandle?
They can't. I'm pretty sure everybody there is developmentally delayed.
Yeah. So, you actually, all that, as you would say, retard strength, they would dominate the entire.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe they would. Maybe the panhandle is going to dominate the region.
Yeah, it'd be
turn the whole thing into the fucking panhandle.
It'd be the second republic of the panhandle, not Texas. The panhandle would take Texas on its own.
Well, I don't know.
Honestly,
go ahead.
Bracket style, you might end up with the Florida panhandle versus the Oklahoma panhandle. It'd be the battle of the panhandles.
Maybe we'll just like make that the Civil War. Like we'll just all of the rest of us, we won't fight out. People? Like let's just send our panhandle against your panhandle, and like whatever panhandle wins ends up being the winner of the Civil War, and we just go from there.
Honestly, Idaho kind of has an upside down panhandle.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, because it'd be a
panhandle to Canada.
Yeah. Well, hold on. There's four like contingents here, so we got to find a fourth panhandle, and then we could just. What about the Michigan panhandle? Isn't that kind of a panhandle on top? We could have the Michigan panhandle fight the Idaho.
Honest to God,
could be. Now, would Manhattan be considered?
No, that's an island.
It's an island, right? Yeah. Well, what about the edge of Massachusetts?
I was going to say Massachusetts. Yeah.
Could do that. Yeah, let's see who. I don't know. They're fucking retarded in Massachusetts.
Wicked Boston motherfuckers against other panhandle states.
I mean, that's a pretty good. They got
Irish
That's a
cops.
good bracket. That's the final
But
four right there.
I'm putting my money on Florida, though. See, the problem here. See, the thing with this, if we're looking at this map, I believe the Western forces, as what Zach is saying, is correct. They are a vast group. The land out there is incalculable. They got the nukes, and they grow in that direction like 30% of the country's food. But from that Texas border to Florida, the condensed population of gun-toting crazies is insurmountable. You know what I'm saying?
The amount of Kodak blacks just in there.
Yeah. Are they going to be politically motivated enough though to participate in the good old-fashioned, like roundup civil war?
Actually, that's the beauty of it, because they just stay home and they wouldn't even know what's going on. But
they wait till the war to come to them.
Yeah, and then the moment somebody stepped on their lawn, they'd shoot them directly between the eyes. They wouldn't
rocket launchers. Yeah.
Speaking of Tim Pool, he talked about how when the way civil wars usually work in real life too is like there are people who participate, and then there are people who don't even know what the fuck's going on. He was talking about like the Arab Spring, I think, in Egypt, and how like you could go to the mall while like the whole riot was going on in was it Tahrir Square or whatever it's called, and like people are just like shopping, but then like 15 blocks away there's a fucking war breaking out, the civil war, and like then most people went to the mall, like they just went home that day, like went on the news and like holy shit, a civil war happened, we overthrew the government. Meanwhile, I was like shopping for fucking like an iPhone.
I wonder though, like this is America 2024. It's modern times. Everybody here, everybody who's listening, you got jobs or some type of business that you have to attend to. We're a very modernized group of people. A pandemic hit and everybody started working from home. It's, we have the technology to do this. So like civil war kicks off. Like, when do we not go to work?
Yeah, true.
Serious question. Serious question.
Like, shit to do.
Yeah. Like, when do I like not pay my car bill and not go to work? Like, what's the cutoff? Like, do I get like round up and have to go fight, and then I don't have to worry about this shit? Or do we have to lose and society collapses? Like, so I work up until society collapses? Is that like the goal? What do we do? When do I stop working?
I think the moment that Don Lemon gets charged with sexual assault for what he did on Long Island that one night, I think that's probably the indicator.
Okay.
I think what actually ends up happening is you're gonna like revert back to whatever your in group or out group is, and your in group might be work, right? And you might be like, I don't know, like my fucking.
I'll be right back. I just have to piss. I'll be right back.
Oh, go for it.
That's the Zimbabwe's, bro. They're just fucking you up, man.
You know what? Let's pause here, and we'll finish that thought when he comes back.
Never mind.
Okay, we're recording again.
All right, cool. So where did we leave off?
Well, we left off.
When do we stop going to work and stop being part of society once civil war breaks out?
That's going to come down to, again, like I was saying, like your in group and your out group. You're going to like, what is your in group? Like, you might end up being like, I'm more loyal to my job than whatever this cause is that's going on in the world. Or you might be like, I'm more loyal to my friend group, and we're all going to like go up into the Catskills and dig in and make sure that we survive this whole fucking thing. Or you might be like, I'm more loyal to the Libertarian Party. Like, let me see what's the emergency group chat that we have saying, and like, can we all meet up and do something like that? I don't know. You'll make that decision at some point when you're kind of forced into making that decision. You might be forced into making that decision earlier on, like if you're a Trump supporter and you're like, I gotta go and support my guy. You know what I mean? And you might just like get on a truck and go
run out of the house with 2 pistols in each hand, just firing like Yosemite.
Colonel Douglas McGregor, wherever he tells you to go. But it's hard to just say that now.
It will be nice eventually, like when the collapse does come and the Civil War breaks out, it will finally be nice, because the one thing that comes of war and civil war is true free speech. So every white person can say the N-word. You can't get in trouble.
Yeah. Just running into battle, screaming it.
Like, honestly, like everybody's trying to kill you anyway.
Right. Yeah. I liked what Mosh DeRay had to say when we saw him in person, and he was like, I'm going to just fall back into the hood and blend in. Like, no one's going to know whatever. They're going to leave us alone in this, when this is going on. Yeah, you too. Yeah,
same.
right. Yeah.
Samesies.
You're going to blend in like a fucking brown piece of rice in a white bowl of rice.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's I honestly gotta go back to South Dakota. That's what
You'll
Be
blend
best
in there,
bet.
yeah. But that's where
Be
they're
your
gonna
best bet.
they're gonna want to kill all those people first, though. That's the side, the winning side of the war. Don't forget.
Yeah, I mean,
The dangerous side.
I mean, the moment you hit Colorado, the moment you hit Wyoming, like I think the overwhelming majority of people in the Northeast and even in the South, the Southeast, don't quite have a grasp on what they're
Reality.
dealing with when they hit Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho. It's so
Because there's just nothing out
fucking-
there.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
And the people that have been there for fucking generations, and they know everything. They know where to go, where everything is.
You could cut their power off tomorrow and they'd go,
How about how
Yeah.
mountainous that region is? Like
It's just-
Afghanistan, how they fucking managed to fight off multiple empires over the years.
Yeah.
It's a rugged,
Yeah.
mountainous
dig
fucking
into the
place.
crowds, the
It's
caves.
hard to like tame that. Yeah, that's a
And,
good
and
point.
that would be the smart move of like the Western states, is to just let people come to them, because they could Vietnam anybody who comes in there. They know the area. It's too vast. Even the houses are like 30, 40 yards apart. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? You're gonna scale a neighborhood in a day and break in into each house and say, it's like,
Yeah.
no, you can't.
By the time the third house got hit, the last 10 houses are
They've already-
loaded.
yeah.
Yeah. They got the red dot sites going down the street. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too fucking big.
Yeah.
It's interesting
too
because
big.
if you compare, you know how like if you kind of compare it the inverse to like voting, people have made the point lately how like Democrats and cities almost have an unfair advantage in terms of
They do.
the election, because if you're a canvasser, you can go to one building that has 10,000 people in it and then like ask them all to vote for your guy. But if you're conservative and you want to go and get your base, which is
Nebraska.
more in Nebraska, you have
Yeah.
to drive around all day and you might reach like 20 people. Okay, but when shit gets real, that flips real quick.
Yeah,
Right? Like
yeah.
it's much easier
Yeah.
to kill 1,000 people in a building than it is 1,000 people spread out over
Yeah.
700 square miles or something like
Three
that.
of us with shotguns and enough ammo could take out a whole building.
Right?
Yeah.
To some
You can
extent. Yeah.
clear
We're
it
not
like
advocating
fucking-
for that, by the way, folks. But
No.
yeah.
Yeah. Calm down.
That's when life in Alaska becomes a pretty fucking handy. Like it's
Yeah.
I mean, most people like because you know how like world maps are so fucking crazy distorted.
Yeah, they make no sense. Yeah.
Alaska's so
Gigantic.
goddamn big.
Isn't it north to south the size of Canada?
It's like north to south, the size of the United States, basically.
Yeah,
Really?
it's fucking massive.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like, you know how like Africa
Yeah.
looks
Oh,
kind
so
of like
small.
South America.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like, dude, this thing is fucking South America up Mexico into fucking like
Yeah.
like South Dakota. It's so big.
Dude, Africa is so big that I was watching this documentary about Africa, and it's one of my favorite places on earth. Dying to go there. It's like top 2 in my places to go visit. They were saying like in like the Serengeti or whatever. What's the big desert over there?
Sahara?
Sahara Desert, that a breeze could pick up in the Sahara Desert and travel so long and so far, it could be like a class 3 hurricane by the time it hits Florida.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've
Jesus Christ.
I've
Like
seen,
weather could legitimately start there.
Dude, I've seen some people saying, I take this with a grain of salt, that some of the reason why some of the hurricanes have gotten worse in the last couple of years is because they've been like clear cutting too much forest in that area
in
of the
Africa,
world.
and there's nothing to
And
stop.
it's like it's
Yeah,
slow,
the
it's like
Congo-
speeding up the speed of
Yeah.
wind speeds, which is kind
Wow.
of where it originates from.
Yeah.
Also, I've also seen how they say that the reason why the Amazon is so rich and like fertile is because the sands from the Sahara are like scooped up, blown across the ocean. They settle in South America, like constantly laying fertilizer on the Amazon. That's one of the reasons why. Like, again, I don't know.
Speaking of fucking
the
the Amazon, South America, so this is another example of distortion of maps. The northernmost part of Brazil is closer to Canada than it is the southernmost part of Brazil.
because the map is
It's-
so yeah.
It's so fucking weird how we put proportions on the map, because
I think
things
this
are
has something to do also with like the English,
The Earth being
or
flat.
like the British Empire. Because if you look
Yeah.
at the map, this is actually interesting. I've heard people say this before. Like if you look at like what everyone knows is the map. Like Britain is right at the center, at the top, right? Like they kind of ruled the world for a long time, and they're one of like the main empires who drew the maps up. And it's kind of like you're almost looking at the accepted map from their perspective in a way, because they were the big dog, at the time. So there might be
which is
something
pretty
to that.
fucking cool. You just draw shit and you're like, that's a country.
This is the way it goes.
I'm not a flat earther. We're on, a circular object here. Why is it that we look at it the way that we look at it? We're like North America and whatnot are on the left and everything else is on the right. How come we just don't inverse that? Like it's all relative, right? It can be literally any way you want. You can even flip the fucking thing upside down, and you can say that the North Pole is South Pole and South Pole is the North Pole. I think there's some human construct reason as to why we look at it the way that we do.
Yeah,
more than a scientific reason, perhaps.
There is an abstract nature to science that I think scientists kind of disavow. They don't acknowledge, right? Because there was I was watching a clip from Opie and Anthony, if you can believe it, or maybe it was Opie and Jim. I don't know. But there was an astronaut who came on, and he was trying to explain how the concept of up, down, northeast, south, side, it doesn't exist in space. And at first you kind of go, okay, I kind of understand.
Because in space you could go
right. So you get it.
Over 360 any direction.
And and there's no, so it's all relative to whatever object. So there's no actual up, down, northeast, south, west, side to side, in front, back. There's no actual reality to that. And at first you can kind of understand that, but then when you try to think of it, like actually comprehend and try to sit yourself into it and go, this thing that's behind me is in front of me. This thing on top of me is below me and to the side. Like, it's so insane to try to...
It's not the way our perspective of reality works.
Right.
We're on a 3-dimensional playing field, so you can't tell me what the fourth... if you're a 2-dimensional being, you can't tell me what the 3-dimensional world looks like.
Exactly. I think a really good example of this is Pluto is not a planet anymore. A planet is like a human construct or concept. Pluto is a cluster of molecules in a certain area that rotates around the sun.
Creates a solid mass.
What's the I know they have like a scientific definition of what they exactly classify as a planet or not, and that's like the rationale that they're using. But it's still just a rock. And like it's a certain size rock.
I could identify. I could identify as a woman, but Pluto can't identify
as a planet. Yeah, and Neil deGrasse Tyson probably actually would make that argument to you. Well, people. Yeah.
He would.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, quite honestly, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson and Pluto, Neil deGrasse Tyson's head and Pluto are probably about the same size. That guy's got a massive fucking.
I could see that. It's not that big of a planet, and it is a pretty big head, so I could see those two lining up.
He probably wears like a size 13 hat, a size 13 fitted.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Skaggs, should we propose the question, or do you want to show the clip, or do you want to try and fit both in?
I think let's fit both in. Let's go to the clip. That, we
got a clip for you, Zach. We know you enjoy, a good roasting, and you're a great, color commentator. So, I don't know if you know who this is.
I am a good person of color commentator. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So, this was fucking wild. This guy goes straight into God mode. If I don't say
to
so.
Set some context for those listening, this guy's name is Marquette Devon, and he's on the Whatever podcast. I don't know if Zach, if you're familiar with the Whatever podcast. It's like they have these mindless women on there, and dudes just shit on them all the time. They just abuse them. So I just came across this the other day, and this might be one of the most like savage shit on women of all time. Let's
this was crazy.
A lot of things will be hard for you to comprehend. That's why you're in sex work, because you can't offer value in the marketplace.
What the fuck?
Don't worry, I'm not really talking to you. I'm speaking against you as a symbol.
A symbol of what?
A symbol of a declining society where people lack values. So the point is this. If you had IQ and skills to offer to the marketplace, you can earn a good income. Being that the most valuable thing about you is something that you never earned. You didn't earn knowledge, you didn't earn skills. It's your breast that you paid for and your butthole. So you market that to earn money, which is to say, if I took your brain and placed your brain into a man's body, you would be in poverty.
I'm just good for nothing. Yep, you caught me.
No, you are good for something. That's why you have OnlyFans. And that's my point, is that that's what you're good for. A lot of things will be hard for you to comprehend.
This is so interesting to me.
This motherfucker's spinning. This was scorched earth. I love this.
Go ahead, Zach. What do you think of this one before I give my take?
I think that he's 100% right. I think also there's an argument to the other side too, because there's TikTok guys who are literally a 35 IQ and they're millionaires.
Right. I was thinking that.
So, and like streamers.
Or
so
OnlyFans people.
Where you literally can, it would be nice to, if you could transfer brains from different bodies and see how they inhabit the ecosystem that they're put in. And it would be very interesting. I think the black guy definitely has cheated multiple times with girlfriends and wives. And I think he probably has multiple children with multiple baby mamas. None of my business. I respect black men. None of my business.
Just not black women.
Yeah. Yes. True. Well, I mean, he's right. I mean, and of course you could say that about every fucking woman that's brought onto that podcast. It's like, here's what I've always asked myself. It's like, how are they getting in touch with these women? They have to be subscribing to their OnlyFans and DMing them.
My guess.
Well, I mean, you have a lot in common with them. You're just trying to get your numbers up.
That's true.
Right.
I have nothing.
That's
I'm nothing
my
but
guess. Is that they
honestly,
know.
You show your butthole. You got a couple of numbers up. There might be a future for you there.
I think these girls know that they're going to go up there and they're just going to get dunked on all day, right? But the exposure.
Honestly, I don't think
they
some
want
of
to
them
get dunked on.
I don't think some of them can actually comprehend that they're going to get dunked on.
Oh, I think.
Well, here's the real thing. Here's the real thing. They know that they may or may not win the argument. These women have been hot their whole lives, and when you're coming up in high school through college and into your 30s, your 20s, maybe 20s, 30s, when you're hot as a woman, you don't get truly embarrassed. Really, nobody really calls you out very harshly. People tend to, and it's just the nature of if you're better looking, you're treated better usually, right? And so they're not, they don't comprehend the level of embarrassment that can come with somebody who's willing to wreck you, because that's all this podcast is. I'm gonna go on and fucking shit on a woman who probably has
never been shit on before.
She can't read the Harry Potter. She's not even at the reading level of Harry Potter, right? So when they get embarrassed like that, it's a brand new thing to them. It's a brand new emotion to them. And so I think what you see on this is just women experiencing an emotion that they've never experienced before. And that's a good
point.
It's a very
That's
funny
why
thing.
It's entertaining for us as well. We're like, whoa, this is awesome. It's almost kind of like you're by proxy getting revenge against every hot girl who's ever turned you down as well.
It's honest, and honestly too, then the host, I look at him and I'm like, I hate you too. You suck, dude. All you're doing, you've created this podcast where you bring on people to only be anti the feminist movement and only be anti-sex work. And then if you ask those guys about what they feel about, tax policy, they'd go, I don't, and you're like, oh, yes,
well, not everybody could be in this line of business.
It's almost like Ben Shapiro, right? Like they're just debating idiots and they look really good while they're doing it. But like if you brought in Scott Horton, to debate them on something.
Honest to God, if they brought in Scott Horton,
I'd love to see Scott. I'd love to just start mixing shit up. Like bring
Scott Horton, that black dude, and a bunch of OnlyFans girls.
Yeah. That'd be a hell of a.
It'd be fucking hilarious. Yeah. I mean, honest to God, if they started bringing in like real intellectuals to defend, like to be like attorneys for the women that are represented on that podcast, it'd be so fucking funny.
It would. Yeah, they should mix it up. Maybe the current model might be getting old.
Yeah.
All right, Cap.
We're gonna wrap it up. I have a question that I want to present to the two of you. So Christmas is a few days away. Zach, I know you celebrate Kwanzaa, but
True.
People will be gathering with their families shortly to celebrate whatever holiday they celebrate. And politically, the world has gotten crazier. If you believe it or not, from episode 1 to wherever we are now, it's gotten crazier. And the Republicans that were anti-war against Ukraine are now pro-war for Israel.
China's going to take Taiwan, and I can't wait to see who goes where on that matter.
And Trump's off the ballot in Colorado. A lot of stuff is going on. And as people like us or some of our fans that listen in Doom Nation, they're going to be talking politics on Christmas at the dinner table. What points or what perspective or what would you be saying to like try and help people understand what's going on. Does that make sense? You get what I'm saying?
Sure. Or just what's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because they're going to ask you, what's going to happen now that Trump's off the ballot? Like, you know.
So you're basically like, what Steelman points are you going to make to your family members that don't agree with you? Okay.
You got to come guns loaded, obviously, because it's a family dinner. And what would a family dinner be without, loaded guns?
Yeah. Quite honestly, I don't think I will bring Steelman arguments. I think I will bring subversive
racism,
manipulative methods to bring, to divide people. I think if they say, Zach, I can't believe that you think that Trump being off the ballot is a bad thing, we're saving democracy, and then I'm going to say I have a gun in my car, so you better watch your fucking mouth, bitch. I know that you cheated. I know that you cheated on Uncle Ken. I know that you did, okay? And everybody knows that you did. And where's the money? Where's the money, Aunt Helen? Where is it? I know that you took it out of grandma's purse. You've been doing it for years. Okay. Fuck whether Trump's on the ballot or not. How about you get your shit in order? Quit the Percocets. They're not becoming of you, Karen. They're not becoming of you. You've lost your job as a paralegal. That's the only skill that you had. Now, what are you going to do? You've got nothing to work for. You've got nothing to fucking earn. You have nothing to look forward to. Your kids don't even talk to you. That's why they're not here. And that's why I'm here telling you that it's a bad thing that Trump got put off the ballot, because how are you going to say that it's democratic to take a candidate off the ballot without consulting the people that make up the democracy, the voters? And that's my steel man. Okay. You start off by insulting them as a person, then you bring it back around to a common sense point. That's the best way to do it. And then when they're speechless, you slowly take your fork, and then you pick up a piece of turkey off their plate and you put it on yours, and you say,
you assert dominance. You assert dominance. Okay.
That's what happens. That's how you do it. You make them feel bad as a person, and then you attack their political perspective. Because if you attack somebody's political perspective without wearing them down as an individual first, they're going to have the strength to fight back, especially after a few glasses of wine. And they took a Xanax in the car, and they've been taking Adderall for years. They're on a cocktail.
Taking edible in the car, yeah.
Honest to God. So they're I mean, you want to talk about somebody who's revved up and ready to talk about politics? That's them. So what you have to do is wear them down as an individual, make them seem immoral in the eyes of everybody at the table, and make them know that they seem immoral in the eyes of everybody at the table. Then you attack their political ideology. It's a very simple formula, right? Attack the character, then the politics.
Okay.
All right.
I have these conversations almost every time we have a
I know holiday, you do, and so do I. So,
and they are always coming from a right-wing point of view towards me. So, like, I already know what's going to happen. It's going to be like my dad and my father-in-law agreeing about how what's happening to Trump is the most crazy thing, and how the Democrats are evil, and how corrupt they are. And I'm not even gonna want to participate in the conversation, because it's like so boring to me that at that surface level. And then eventually, they'll keep poking and prodding me until I have no, choice but to participate in the conversation. And then I'll probably end up making some subversive anarchist point about, don't you guys understand, the nature of democracy and how this is all a sham to begin with, and blah, blah, blah. And I'll make these, very profound libertarian anarchist points. And then their eyes will cross. And then they'll just go on talking about the exact same thing they were before, about how the Democrats are bad and this, that, and whatever. And then I'll just kind of go drink and have a cigar. That's usually
it drives
that's exactly
me nuts.
What's going to happen.
It drives me nuts because I still try to explain to my father what libertarianism is, and because it starts with LIB, it's liberals. It's liberals. Yeah. That's as far as he can comprehend.
That's
pretty the first three letters.
I'm not gonna lie though, that's a pretty fucking cool perspective. You're like, lib. None of that, thank you. None of that, thank you. I'll pass on the cranberry sauce and the lib shit, thank you.
Yeah. So, but I have a very conservative family, and I'm going to have to sit there and be like, the right is being exposed. Ron DeSantis is a two-timing double agent controlled opposition plant. Benjamin Netanyahu supported Hamas. Palestine is going to be genocide if you keep supporting Israel. And it's going to be interesting that all these right-wingers to be stop watching Fox News. Does not compute.
I think people are too tied up in the surface level stuff, and if you do in those scenarios, which I try and do, I reluctantly do, which is try to dig one layer deeper in on them. They literally their eyes glaze over and they don't get it. It's
so just red team versus blue team. I'm on the red team. How could you? What do you mean the red team's corrupt? I'm on the red team.
What do you mean the system of democracy is a flawed concept? Like, you know, like that's not,
that it may or may not be mob rule,
right? You know, like. Yeah. I've used the analogy of like, you know, well, 3 people voted to beat the shit out of 1 person. Like, does that sound like a good deal to you? And they'll be like, huh, honestly, you know, well, anyway, so Trump, you know, like.
I'm glad that you brought up this segment because I also want to add a layer to this.
Okay.
Here's how you get out of the argument if you do get defeated in the argument by somebody making a better point than you. You just throw up on the table, right? That's what you do.
And blame Nikki Haley.
This is what you do. You do like how cats do. You go, and then you throw up on the table, and then you go, look at what you made me do.
Play the victim card.
Yeah, you really want to talk politics at the table? We're having a nice conversation. What are you doing? And you throw up on the table, and then you leave. You don't clean it up. You leave.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's what you do. And then you say, if you think this
knock
is bad,
over the Christmas tree on the way out the door, and you leave.
Yeah. If you think this is bad, if you think that I've caused a mess here, why don't you go to San Francisco? This is Nancy Pelosi's home state. What's she doing? Gavin Newsom's doing nothing to clean up that state. And then
unless communists come to visit. And then you got the last word, and then you leave when you drive home drunk and get pulled over. Luckily, before you slam into the president's motorcade.
Yeah.
Did you hear this? We'll wrap this up. But dude, the guy was drinking at like a Fridays. And he slammed it. Could you imagine? Dude. Could you imagine being at Fridays and they're like, "Sir, would you like another one?" And you're like, "Yeah, one more can't hurt." Yeah. And then you crashed into the president's motorcade.
Dude,
yeah, he's black though, so he's fine. Like, you know, he's gonna win. It's all good. Yeah.
The honest to God, I think.
Dude, I voted for you.
That's true.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, honestly, he's like, can you imagine just the fear in that guy's eyes as he looks at Joe Biden? He's like, come on. He's like, Joe Biden's eyes are, they're not.
Want to sniff my kid?
He literally said, "I'm black. I voted for you." Remember when you said, "If you don't vote for me, you ain't black"? He goes, "I did vote for you, and I am black.
I'm double black. I'll vote for you this time, please."
And I crashed into your motorcade. Yeah.
That is probably the best DUI though to get. Where you're coming from a fucking Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah.
You literally eating like shitty but good
Grade
food.
D beat
chicken and waffles,
dude.
Yeah,
chicken just, and then you're 8 beers deep, and you're like.
That shot of tequila is looking good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? The check in a shot of tequila. That'll be nice. And then you do this thing on the table where you put your knuckles on the table. You go, check and shot of tequila, please. Yeah, I'm leaving. And then you fucking get behind the wheel and you're like, wow, I was eating alone at Ruby Tuesday and now I'm
invincible. Yeah.
And then you just T-bone a fucking
like fucking Mario when he gets the star. Yeah.
You don't even know it's the president's motorcade. You just know that you T-boned a fucking black SUV and you're like,
it wasn't even like an SUV, dude. It was like one of those tactical fucking armored vehicles with guys.
So he just bounced.
The guys were fully kitted out in it. And they were pointing their fucking their rifles at him. It's like, holy shit! This went from 0 to 60 real quick.
You T-bone a fucking armored.
If you saw the white officer that first made contact with him, now rightfully so. If I was a cop, I'd have my hand on the gun. But this dude wanted to shoot somebody.
If this
dude wanted to shoot somebody.
All the vehicles involved could have been in Grand Theft Auto. If that was us in Grand Theft Auto, that car would have been vaporized by a Harrier jet airstrike of ours in 1 second.
Yep.
Yeah.
Skaggs would have came in with the jet and just strafed the whole area.
I'd already been like circling the area, just waiting for someone to make the wrong move. Yeah. And some innocent black guy comes along, drives right into our convoy. Yeah.
Oh,
well, innocent.
All right. So
innocence. That's innocent.
There we
go. I wouldn't say innocent.
Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
Nope. I think we should let Zach plug everything.
Yes,
at the very end now when no one's listening.
Yeah, now that people stop listening around the Zimbabwe conversation, so let's go. Plug yourself, baby.
Unfit Statesman everywhere. Go listen to the fucking podcast. Go to listen to the video platforms, please. I've been growing actually on the audio side. Every episode basically since I come back, but the video for some reason people are just not into it, and so if I want,
are so manipulated by the algorithm.
Yeah, I understand that, but so if I can listen, give me some fucking help. Okay, it's Christmas season. You see the person ringing the bell for the Salvation Army. Think of it that way. Go give me some love, and on the video platforms in particular. Right. YouTube, Rumble. I haven't been banned yet. YouTube, Rumble, Rockfin.
All right, and I think we're coming up on losing our strike. So, Happy New Year,
that's it.
everybody!
Yeah, January 15th, we are clear on YouTube for the first time in years.
And then we're just gonna walk in and be like, the election was bleep.
Yeah, I deleted something Chris said the other day out of one episode. Like I deleted one thing, like a 2-second comment he made. I'm like, nope, we're too close. Not taking a chance at this point.
Yeah. Well, if you're up on January 5th.
We're January something. We're literally 100% back to like default. You have nothing wrong with your channel.
If that's the thing, if you're back on January 5th, it's only right to broadcast on January 6th
and just tear it all down. Yeah,
advocate for violence against the government or something like that.
I'm not against it.
We'll have another insurrection party.
Yes. All right. On that note, Doom Nation, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Zach, the Unfit Statesman, go check him out. Thank you, buddy. We missed you. Can't wait to have you back on. We got to do one of your shows.
Yeah.
And that's all. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Adios, Doom Nation.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.